When she first started writing books in the 1970s, Anne Rice knew that she wanted to address the big issues, such as the nature of good and evil, rather than simply telling a good story. And she found the perfect voice, a character who could ponder those big questions without sounding ridiculous: the vampire. Her first novel, Interview with the Vampire, was published in 1976. And since that time, there have been 3 more installments in the Vampire Chronicles. Her latest novel, Lasher, is a continuation of the demonic saga that started in the witching hour. Please welcome one of my favorite authors, the Anne Rice.
Cheerful people.
Yeah, there's a lot of Anne Rice fans among us. I wanted to be very honest with you. This is your 13th book, 14th?
I've lost count.
Yeah, I think it's around 13, 14, 15. I have not yet. I've started this, but I haven't finished this one, so I really look forward to this.
Great.
And I am a big fan of yours, so you're going to have to tell me a little bit what Lasher is about and what I can expect when I delve into this.
Well, it's a sequel to The Witching Hour, but I don't think you need to read The Witching Hour to be drawn into it, I hope. Lasher was the villain, more or less, of The Witching Hour. He's a spirit that's haunted the Mayfair family for 13 generations. And it's a real question in The Witching Hour whether he's evil or good or neutral or what. And this book really goes on into his past history and personality. He tells his own story in this book.
Of all of the books that you have written, do you have particular favorites when you look back? Or?
Well, I do. Exit to Eden is a book that I dearly love. It's a book I did very, very quickly, and it's very lighthearted, and it's about love. And I love that book. And I love the books with Lestat, I guess, more than anything. He's my hero. We travel together.
And I love the Vampire Chronicles, and the one that I always recommend to people is Cry to Heaven.
Oh, Cry to Heaven.
Yeah, I thought it was an exceptionally wonderful book.
Thank you.
So much of your book deals with supernatural and with forces, and I know that you live in a house that's supposedly haunted, and yet, I know you believe in these things, do you not? You believe
to some
in
extent, yeah, the ghosts in particular. Yeah.
But you've never seen one yourself?
No, I have not seen the one in our house. It's been seen a lot by other people, but I haven't seen it. I don't even feel it.
Now, why do you think you don't see it or feel it? Because I would have thought of all the people in the world that you would be particularly sensitive to this.
Well, I'm very afraid of the dark. And I don't give ghosts much of an opportunity. You know, I'm not one of those persons who goes exploring cold spots in the middle of the night.
You are
and I
afraid
wouldn't touch a Ouija board because I'd be too afraid of conjuring up something, not conjuring, but attracting something, some sort of astral tramp or tramp spirit. And now I'm very afraid that there is a lot out there, and I keep it away from me.
You just don't want to mess around with it?
I don't think it's to be fooled around with.
Yeah, you know, I had a man on the show once, a fascinating guy who is in the Catholic Church. He's the man who calls the exorcist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if he thinks you're in trouble, he's the one who phones the exorcist. There are 3 in North America, and he said exactly that.
It's not.
He said you get in trouble when you start fooling around with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Are you so afraid of the dark that you sleep with a light on?
No, but I have my 6-foot husband beside me. So if he's not there, yes, I'd keep the light on.
What do you do when you travel?
I have lights on various parts of the hotel room, yeah.
Interview with a Vampire. I mean, after, boy, a long time, is finally going to make it to the screen. I mean, I was reading about your journey. And
so we hear.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. And I understand that, and there's a lot of controversy over the fact that Tom Cruise is going to play Lestat.
Yes,
how do you feel about it?
Shocked, stunned, disturbed. Most of the readers feel the same way. In fact, I would say all of the readers that I've spoken to about it feel the same way. And they were very upset about it before I ever said anything publicly. You know, I had to sort of think about it and come to realize how very angry I was about it. But I do admire Tom Cruise. I think he's a good actor. I don't know why he wants to do this, because it's just not his role. He just doesn't look or sound or he's nothing like Lestat.
Does he know you feel this way? Because if I was, if I was an actress of some note and about to do a role and I heard that you weren't happy, I think that I might go, oh, wait a minute, or I would rise to the challenge.
Well, I don't know whether he knows. I really don't. They may keep him completely insulated. I have no idea. But the readers are making a lot of noise, and they make that noise to David Geffen and to Warner Brothers and to everyone involved.
People, I mean, there are lots of writers around, but I must be very honest with you. It's very seldom that people come to our station and and really beg, can they be in the green room to meet you?
Thank you.
No, you are more than admired. I mean, people are very passionate about you. Yeah, really. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Like I told you, you and Dominic Dunn are my favorite too, and maybe it's because the subject you deal with. There's something about writing about vampires. There's something about immortality. There's something about good and evil that really draws all of us to it. Do you know what that is?
Well, for me, the whole thing is very, very emotional, and when I write, it's with a great deal of emotion. So if the people feel that emotion when they read the books, I'm thrilled, but I'm not sure it's the supernatural itself. I mean, there are just many ways to treat it in fiction, and there are many people who write it that I don't particularly care for, and I don't know that they evoke an emotional response.
You made a comment once in an interview that I read that your stories are like a radio show. Is that
Well, I was influenced
how much of my work
a lot.
sounds like a radio show?
Yeah, I was influenced a lot by radio. I discovered that when we started driving to Florida recently to our summer home, we began to listen to old radio shows like the Lux Radio Theater and Suspense and these playhouses that used to be on in the 50s. And I think I was incredibly influenced by that and just sort of forgot about it. The Inner Sanctum, that was another radio show that scared me to death.
Your favorite books, not of the ones that you've written, but if you look back, your all-time favorite book, is this correct, is by Faulkner, The Sound of Fury? Is that one of your all-time favorites?
That's definitely one of my all-time favorites. It shifts from moment to moment, but I love that book. I'm absolutely, totally mesmerized by that book. I think it's the most wonderful achievement. I love Faulkner's language, all that excess, and the way he gives himself over. Eudora Welty, too. The Southern writers just, they're
This
not
is a woman
inhibited.
I don't know, Eudora Welty?
Yes.
I wrote that name down because I thought, gee, maybe I should go buy one of these books because this is something that...
Well, Eudora Welty is very old now. She lives in Jackson, Mississippi, but she's written many books and many short stories, and she lets the language pour out in this sensuous way, much the way Faulkner did. In fact, even perhaps more so. And I love that as a Southerner, as an Irish Catholic, as the kind of writer I want to be. I want the language to come that way, to be sensuous.
Have you achieved what you want as a writer?
Not yet.
Gee, 13 novels. Are you close?
I don't know.
Isn't that interesting?
I hope on my deathbed I'll be saying not yet.
Yeah, are you saying that as an artist you're never satisfied with what you do, or do you know where you want to go and you're trying to get there?
There are many more things I want to do. Many more things. I hope my better books are yet to come. I hope. I see visions. I see images. I hear voices.
To find out what kind of visions Anne Rice sees and what voices she hears, you'll have to come back right after this. Anne Rice. If you've never read an Anne Rice novel, you got to do yourself a big favor and go out and buy one. This is the latest. It's called Lasher. Cry to Heaven is amazing. The Vampire Chronicles are wonderful. I asked you just before you joined us if you miss writing, but you say you take a journal with you and you write every day?
I carry a diary. Right now it's very little. It fits in my purse, and I write in it all the time.
Are you writing ideas, thoughts that will come to you?
Everything, even things like just sent out the blouses to be washed. I mean, it can be that, or it can be a whole idea for a novel or a whole scene in the novel.
When you said before that you had visions, you heard voices, does that happen for you? Does it really happen?
No, not in the literal sense. I mean, when I write, I'm completely conscious, but ideas, inspiration, things like that, that takes me by storm. Some people say, where do you get your ideas? It's impossible to answer that question. My ideas get me. They just come at me, and that's what I mean. I see images, I hear voices. All the time, ideas for novels are coming to me, scenes, people. One of the things when I go out on tour is signing names in all the bookstores. The names make me think of stories immediately. Right. Paragraphs, I can hear a voice, and it's almost like a chemical is rampant in the brain.
I would think, I was just thinking, you would hear a phrase, you would hear a sentence, and your mind would grab it and say, that's great, I love that, I love the way it sounds, I want to put that in the paper.
Exactly. Well, I have words written all over the walls of my room. I just write them in black felt tip pen now, all over the doors and the walls. I think it was a little startling to Stan, my husband, when I first did it. But I find I just love to see those words. They're like little triggers. They're like little glimmering jewels.
Do you change them after you finish one novel, whitewash it and start again, or you just leave these words there?
No, it's a big room.
It's a big room. Got a lot of words up there. Isn't that amazing?
I have plenty of space.
I was reading, and one of the things I liked so much about your husband was the fact that he said to you, I believe in you. You went to work and he said, I believe in you, I
Yes,
believe in
he
your
did.
writing.
He
I
did.
mean, what a wonderful guy.
He said that all these years. He said it from the very beginning. You know, that was one thing that we both believed in each other, and we both wanted each other to succeed. And that's been true from the very start. So I'm fortunate.
One of I guess it's a fascinating tragic factor of life is that sometimes when people go through terrible tragedies that somehow some great good comes out of it. And I know yours was just horrific. You lost your only daughter, Michelle, when she was 6 years of age to cancer.
Right, yeah.
And from that, through this terrible 2-year period after that in which you drank too much and grieved terribly, this writing thing came out.
Well, I was writing before, actually. I was writing all the time, and Michelle was very patient with my writing. You know, she knew when her mom was in there. You know, she would come in and out, but I think I can remember her being very patient as a child. But afterwards, I did seem to make breakthroughs that I had not made before. Now, I didn't connect it at the time with her death. I thought, if anything, I was struggling to transcend that, to somehow create something, though everything seemed meaningless. But I certainly wrote Interview with the Vampire in that period, and of course there's a child vampire, Claudia, but I never thought of that either. I would have been blocked if I'd thought, I'm putting my daughter in this novel. I couldn't have done it.
But now that you've done the novel and you look back, is Claudia Michelle, was it somehow for you a way of working through it?
It must have been, but the personality of Claudia is not. All the characters really do take on their own fictional life. Lestat's Lestat, Louis is Louis, Claudia is Claudia. My daughter was not anything like Claudia, but the physical model, exactly.
When you go to write now your next novel and you want to write more about Lestat, because he's taken on a life of his own, does he, I mean, when you sit down, can he actually start it for you and say,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
really?
Absolutely. I mean, slipping into Lestat is the greatest, one of the greatest pleasures I know as a writer. And he and I really travel everywhere. I mean, I see everything. What would Lestat think of this? Oh, Lestat would love this. Or, that's his color, that's his hotel. He would love that skyline, whatever. But he takes over really quickly, because now we're into the 5th book with him. And he really does. He just takes over. In fact, I have to hold back a little bit on some of his comments. I mean, the character is very well developed for me. And
I mean, you have to. I mean, he says things that you think are just too. Hey, wait a minute, wait.
Well, I don't know what he's going to say about Tom Cruise, but it's going to be very weird. And I can hear these sarcastic remarks, contrary to what you've heard. This is what I look like, And I think, oh no, Ann, don't do that. Just get into him as if this weren't happening.
Isn't that extraordinary? As a writer, you actually, when something becomes that real. It must be difficult almost sometimes to make that separation. Sometimes
it is. It's really tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. People call us, and not kids either, people call us and ask if he's real. And I've had people on the phone burst into tears when I said that he was not real. And that was a grown woman with children, grown children, who read the books. Sure. And I mean, I was very touched. I was overwhelmed,
Wow.
but I was amazed too, just amazed, because I thought he was so obviously a fictional character. But he becomes terribly real to me when I'm writing. I can see him in the shadows, and but I know he's not there.
If you would like to meet him, all you have to do is pick up a book. Ladies and gentlemen, a great author, Anne Rice. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.